What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Palm Tree Perspective here, where we give you the hottest takes on the West Coast sports. It's your boy Hamilton James here with my man Randall Hamilton. Randall, what we talking about, man?
Hey man, well, we had an interesting day of playoff football. We had a snow game. My Eagles, ended up taking it home, and they ended up eliminating the Los Angeles Rams today in the playoffs. The Rams put up a valiant effort today. They got to Jalen Hurts 7 times. The defensive line really did an outstanding job. Getting pressure on Jalen Hurts and the offensive line. Jared Verse, he went at my Philadelphia. He called out Eagles fans saying that he didn't like us and all that. But to his credit, he didn't. He didn't back down from it. He kind of was trolling a little bit. Before the game started. Messing with the fans and all that. And Eagle fans can dish it and take it. You know what I'm saying? Like they can he brought the energy. He didn't run from it, and he came and backed up the talk, man. So I mean, you got to respect on that level. But you can go in and elaborate more on the Rams perspective. But elaborate on what you saw today.
I mean, shout out to the city, man. We've been going through it. Shout out to the Rams. They fought, they held it down, and we just came up short. To your point, I don't feel like outside of that one run, the 73-yard run that Saquon had, I felt like we had him pretty much contained. He wasn't, he didn't have too many big flare-ups on us.
Yeah, he had 200 yards again today.
Yeah, he killed us, man. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. But I still feel like, I don't know. I feel like we lost, but I feel like we had a chance to win the game at the end. So to me, like, we were the underdogs. And I still feel like we came in and I don't know. I feel like we did our thing. I'm a confused Rams fan right now, Randall. As you can see, I'm still trying to process what happened. I feel like Saquon ran all over me. I think shout out to Jalen Carter, on the defense for Eagles, because on that third down, that was a crucial sack. I think that sealed the game right there, in my opinion.
He forced the Kyron Williams fumble too.
Early in the game.
That was really the game changing point, because the Rams were, I thought they had regained the momentum before that fumble. And Kyron was actually having a good game too. He had over 100. He had a 100-yard day too. And just like it was almost like a mirror image of the first matchup, because he had a key fumble in the first matchup too that ended up costing the Rams as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you had two big Saquon runs in the first game, and you pretty much had two big Saquon runs in addition to a Jalen Hurts touchdown run. This game, so it's kind of like almost like a mirror image of the game. But
Right.
But the thing is that despite all the yards that they had given up, I think really to your point, I think the 72-yard, I think before that 72-yard run, like it looked like in the because for most of the second half, the Rams defense did have Saquon in check before that run. So like I really get what you were saying, like initially when it's saying like it didn't feel like it before that run, but at the same time, like Saquon still, like he was at like 100 yards. He was still at near around 100 yards rushing, like in the third quarter. You know what I'm saying? So like he still got good chunks of yards, but as far as pressure on Jalen and shutting down the passing game, the Rams did an excellent job when it came to that.
Yeah, AJ Brown was looking kind of quiet. But I feel like the Eagles kind of shut down our passing game too. Tyler Higbee was cool, but Puka was kind of quiet tonight. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they did a good job on Puka. I don't know what's up Cooper Kupp. I was expecting him to do something, and he didn't show up how I wanted him to show up. So I was confused by that. I don't know. We lost by a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? We had an opportunity to win the game. So it's not like we got blown out, and there's with so many things I can really pick apart. I just say better team won. Like you predicted last week, Philadelphia, they came in. Kudos to the Rams for knocking off a 14-win team. But Philly came in and we battled. We fought. We really did fight. It was a good game, in my opinion. It came down to me, like I still feel like we had an opportunity to win. and Jalen Carter sealed the deal. So shout out to the Rams, man. That was a good season. We battled all adversity all year. Started off 1-4. So I would have liked to see us went to the NFC Championship, obviously, but hey, if we lose to the Eagles, that's not nothing to be ashamed of.
So as you look back at the Rams this year, it's what are some of the main, as you look forward to the future, it's what are some of the main bright spots that you see with the Rams that you're pleased with from this season and then going to next year, and also what do you feel like the Rams need to shore up as far as now the Rams are in the division round, so they're right there as far as on the cusp of being a deep Super Bowl contender. They're right there. So what moves do you think the Rams need to make as far as getting to that next level next year?
Well, for sure, Kobe Turner and Jared Verse. I think the maturation and improvement of them, as well as Puka. So as far as young talent, I think we'll be all right. And we have to answer that question about Cooper Kupp. Is it that time? Also, Matthew Stafford was talking about he might not even. He has to ask himself some questions. So if Stafford doesn't come back, then you start to talk about a rebuild mode, because what quarterback are we going to get at that point to fill his shoes? So it all depends if he comes back. How I think they should move, because if Stafford comes back, then we got to get a piece. I think another weapon on offense, another receiver. Maybe a Devontae Adams. I'm saying something like that, just a dynamic veteran receiver. Or I think we need a veteran piece in the secondary. Either one of those two. But outside of that, I just see everybody else just improving, getting better. And if we don't get Stafford, then you got to you pull the plug, but you got some young pieces on offense and defense that you can build around. I don't know. I don't want to say tank, but what kind of quarterback are you going to be able to get that's going to help you get to a playoff, berth? At that point, you're rebuilding, so it doesn't really matter what kind of quarterback you have. The objective is to lose, but is Sean McVay going to stay around for that? That's a whole nother question that pops up. So there's a lot of uncertainty right now, because I think this is the official end of the championship window for the Rams, because the Rams only won the championship 3 years ago. So I feel like this is the official end of the window, and it's what do you do with the aging stars, and does the coach want to stay? So there's a lot of questions, honestly, that I can't even answer, that I know you asked me to answer, but the more I speak on it, the more uncertain it seems right now.
Yeah, really, it's just going to depend on what Stafford does. I think as long as Stafford's there, I believe McVay will still stick around. Now let's say if Stafford were to hang it up, it'll be interesting to see if the Rams were to go that route of. Now they may try. Now if Aaron Rodgers were to come back, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a flyer on Aaron Rodgers, just to see if they could try to give it a little shot, give it a shot with him. I do think Aaron Rodgers played a bit better towards the latter part of the season. Once a little bit more further removed from the Achilles injury, he did show flashes of looking a little bit more like himself towards the latter part of the season, though. So I could see a scenario where McVay and the Rams can kind of take a flyer on him, and I can see of a guy like Rodgers, wanting to get with a guy like McVay, offensive guy. So I can see the Rams if he was to be available as a free agent, I could see them taking a flyer on him in the event Stafford were to retire. But I think it's kind of but I think the way Stafford was talking, I think that might just be something that in the moment, it's a bit fresh, from being eliminated.
The emotions.
Yeah, it's a bit of an emotional, he's in an emotional state. But I think he'll probably get with his, he'll talk to his family, talk with his wife and kids and all that, and they'll probably. I have a feeling that I think Stafford will probably stick around. And even today, I thought I thought
you're pretty good.
I thought on an individual level he played better than Jalen, but he still was making plays. Like he even threw the no look pass today in the snow. So like you can still you can see signs. And I mean
He
hell, I
pushed the
mean.
ball down the field too on that last drive before they got stalled
Oh
out.
yeah, oh
That
no,
pass,
I was nervous as hell on that last drive, man.
man,
Because
that catch was nice.
I've seen Stafford do that so many times throughout the course of his career. So
Exactly.
I mean,
That's,
I think in the top and the entire time he's been in the league, I think he's up there. I mean, I know as much as active players, he's probably up there as far as fourth quarter comebacks.
hmm.
So so yeah, I mean, I was nervous as hell for Stafford. So, I mean, he can still do it. It's just that I think there are some, but there are times where Stafford, in some of those games, like the Dolphins game and the Bears game where they lost, where there are times where he may show signs of his age, but at the same time, like I do think that he has enough veteran savvy enough to where he can still be, more than an effective
Do the
quarterback.
Rams go out and get Sam Darnold?
I don't think they have the money to do that because, because come cheap, and if he is going to leave the Vikings, he's probably going to go. And if the Vikings don't franchise tag him,
He's gonna go
which is
somewhere.
yeah, like he'll probably go, he'll probably sign with some team like the Raiders, or like the Jets, or some team like that has money, well, or could potentially have money,
Right.
So I think that's a bit more of a likely scenario. Now, as far as what I would think of what the Rams need to do, I know you suggested about getting a receiver. I think let's say the Rams were to trade Cooper Kupp, I think they would probably get another young receiver possibly. Because Puka would be the clear number one guy, and they still have Higbee, and I actually thought Higbee looked pretty good today too.
He did.
Because he's still working. I mean, he was still working his way back from injury. So I think the Rams definitely should look forward to seeing more of him in the lineup next year. And I think if Stafford comes back, they'll probably get their chemistry back working again. But quietly, Kyron still had Kyron was a 1,000-yard rusher this year. It's just that his issue was just having fumbles and key situations. I mean, it wasn't just like today in the Eagles game. It's just that's been an issue, pretty much throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as defense, I would lean towards, I agree with you that they definitely could use another corner. I think, defensive line is pretty much set. But I think they could use a run stuffing linebacker. I think that's one of the main keys they need in the draft is they need I think they have the enforcers on the front end. They just need some enforcers behind the D line. Because I do think they tend to be the defense can be a little too D line centric to where they're too reliant on getting pressure and they need to be a little bit more balanced on the back end a little bit. So I think those are the issues that I think the Rams definitely should address in the offseason. And also, they could probably use now they had injury issues on the offensive line this season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they addressed offensive line in the draft, free agency too. I think another good news for the Rams is I believe because for many years the Rams had the F them picks philosophy, and they had a lot of high priced talent on the roster throughout the years. Well, now that the Rams have a lot more of a younger roster with a lot of players on rookie contracts beyond the top paid players such as Stafford and Coop. Even though Aaron Donald retired last year, he still had a cap number, his cap number. He still had a cap.
He's still on the books. Yeah,
he was still on the books. So his contract comes off the books now. So the Rams will have a little bit more money to spend next year in free agency as well. So that's also good news, in addition to the draft picks that they have too. So so last year they took Verse in the first round. Which was their first round pick, since they started trading a lot of their draft picks. So I think that's also what having a little bit more money to spend in free agency is something that the Rams should be looking forward to as well.
Yeah, I agree. Go out and get I know you said linebacker, and I agree with that. Maybe a run stopper, but I feel like you can get that in the draft. Go out and get you, I'm not saying spend top dollar, but get you a B+ corner. You know what I'm saying? Just something that's upgraded from what we have right now, because that would definitely help. Even though I must admit that the Rams defense to me played pretty well today. Saquon had a couple runs; they were able to break the line a few times, but outside of that, I can't really blame them too much.
And I think Lake. I think he's been banged up most of the year on your secondary, and like he's a defensive captain on your team. And I believe he came back for today's game.
Yeah, believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So but and I think I think another key for the Rams is just they're good. And the last couple of years they've had issues with getting off the slow starts early in the season. So I think another main focus the Rams should have is to start fast because
Well, I mean, it's been because of injuries.
because true, but you also want to avoid having these games in the cold. But you want to also avoid having these games in the cold. And at the end of the day, like every team in the NFL has injuries, so it's kind of one of those situations where you have to kind of try to work.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you there. I mean, but what can you do when you lose both of your star receivers? You know what I'm saying? Like from a scoring perspective, and you're dealing with a young defense. So that we knew the defense was going to have growing pains, and the offense was supposed to sustain that, but the offense got hurt. So and then we saw what happened when the offense was healthy. The defense was able to learn, and the defense was able to elevate. And so I mean, I'm not disagreeing with anything you say. It's just, it's just tough when it's injury.
Yeah,
if it was like a situation like the Bengals, where the Bengals were just losing games, it's like, why are you guys losing games early? Then I could agree with you. But when it's like we have injuries and it's like we were basically climbing out of a hole all season.
couldn't really get the rhythm and timing early in the season.
You know what I'm saying?
Because at the end of the day, like it is about like football is about like rhythm and timing and finding that chemistry. So to your point, it is tough with guys in and out of lineup with finding that cohesion.
I mean, it was times when, bro, like Tutu Atwell was our number one. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what can you really, I agree with you though. Like we got imagine if we were 4-1. We were 4-1 on that stretch and then went 9-4. You know what I'm saying? We would have been one of the top teams in the NFC. But we lost to the Eagles. We did win a playoff game. We did have what we did. We won the division. We hosted a home playoff game. We won it. Amongst everything that was going on in the city. And then we went to Philly and, we battled hard. It came down literally to Jalen Carter, busting through Avila and getting to Stafford on that sack. And after that, it was basically over. So we fought hard. We were the underdogs and we came up short. But overall, I would say that the Rams we had a pretty good season. Any season that win the championship sucks, but given everything that happened, we still were able to win the division. I would say that we had a pretty good season. We started 1-4. I mean, we had some help from other teams in the division be a little bit weaker, but yeah, man, I think the Rams did all right.
I mean, look, that stretch of winning 9 out of 11 games is very impressive. That's very difficult
for a
team to do in the National Football League. I mean, you got to give credit to Sean McVay for like keeping his team locked in and resilient. They still believe that they had a chance throughout the season. Even when you saw teams like Arizona and Seattle were leading the division, but they never wavered. They lost. They still stayed resilient. And that resilience carried them into, dealing with the fire situation. And, they still stay. I mean, for them, they deserve a lot of credit for staying focused, from their family, from, coaches and players, their families having to evacuate and, having to move to Arizona halfway through the week. And, from McVay and the players, they locked in. They didn't make excuses. They could have had every chance to make excuses in the world. But, they went out and played their ass off. And in my opinion, I think in Arizona, they played the best game of the season against the Vikings. Like that was the game where they dominated.
It was a complete game.
Like they kicked their ass from start to finish.
Complete game.
So, yeah. So, and the thing is that, and, being a West Coast team in this week going into, a snow game, cold weather. And I mean, I thought the Rams showed valiant toughness. They were out there. They matched. I mean, the Eagles, I think, have been pretty much arguably the most physical football team in the league this season. And I thought, and I didn't think the Rams ran from it at all. You know, they went to a tough, hostile, cold weather environment, and you know they showed up and fought. You know, and obviously they're disappointed in the outcome, but you know. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. Like it's really, I mean, the
Yeah,
NFL, like it's really hard to win in this league. I mean,
32
you see
teams, only one team
like
wins the
you
Super Bowl. You know what I'm
and
saying?
you see teams and like every year is like there's so much roster turnover from year to year. You know, you see teams go from first to last, last to first all the time. So I mean, you know,
Right.
I mean, you got teams like Washington who, I mean, look, I mean, yeah, Washington won 4 games last year. Like I cannot I mean,
They're on a
tell you how
historic
awful
run.
of a football team that they were last season. But literally, changing ownership, and then well, basically the greatest rookie quarterback season of all time, new head coach, and then next thing you know, they're in the NFC Championship game. Like it's insane. So
Crazy.
hats off to the Rams. You know, they had a very good season this year, and you know, I think, and you know, with the young pieces on defense, I mean, they should also be encouraged the fact that you know losing Aaron Donald to retirement, the fact that they've got some young guys on their defensive line already, you know, making noise and making a name for themselves. You know, that's definitely an encouraging sign for the Rams, and
I agree.
definitely something that definitely building blocks for the future.
I agree.
All right, well, next 7, we're going to move on to basketball. Today, we just had the Battle of Los Angeles. The Lakers and the Clippers played each other today. It is the first Lakers-Clipper matchup back in separate arenas. It was the first matchup at the Intuit Dome. And the Clippers came out victorious. They pretty much led this game from start to finish. I mean, they were up. I believe the Clippers were up by as many as 20. I think they're up by as many as 25. Pretty much. I mean, the Lakers kind of pretty much made the infamous fake comeback at the end, but didn't really pan out. So, Ham, what was your reaction to what you saw tonight from both teams?
Okay, let's start with the Lakers. When Anthony Davis doesn't decide to take over and dominate, when he's just in chill mode, the Lakers have no shot. Also, I feel like the Lakers aren't a team that can come from behind. When the Lakers get down 10, 15 points in the second half, 20 points in the second half. At one point they were down 25 points in the I believe in the third quarter. They were already down like 11 or 12 or something going into the half, and then they had an 11-point run put on them, 12-point run put on them in the beginning of the third quarter. And you're trying to beat a team like the Clippers right now who are catching fire. I just don't see it, and it's just disappointing. And then I'm also looking at these numbers, Randall, and I'm just like, bro, who's scoring for LA? That's my question. Like when it's not AD, like who's really putting up numbers for LA? And it's just not, these numbers ain't gonna cut it. I'm sorry. I mean, Austin Reeves, you know, I think he had a decent game scoring wise, but he had 5 turnovers. You know what I'm saying? Bron, 5 turnovers. You can't have 5 turnovers, Bron, and he knows better. LeBron James, you can't take 20 shots and only make 9 of them. So, you know, it just, Bron's got to figure out a way to facilitate. I understand, like, he's trying to, you know, be aggressive and pick his spots, but I don't, lately, at least what I've been seeing, because it goes in ebbs and flows. From lately, what I've been seeing, I just haven't been liking it. And then, I mean, I watched Anthony Davis with my own eyes last season against Sabonis in LA get dominated. Sabonis dominated 80, and it was just the same look, same energy, same feel tonight. I'm just not really here. I'm on autopilot. Zubac dominated, if you ask
Oh
me.
yeah,
He dominated. He controlled the paint. He just made AD look like he wasn't even there. AD had a quiet double-double, in my opinion.
I'm
5 of
surprised he even had
14,
that many
nothing really there
rebounds
either.
because I'm surprised he got that many rebounds because like I think I heard Billy Mack say like on the stat where the Lakers didn't have an offensive rebound until I think the third quarter.
It's unacceptable.
Not one. Like I mean, and that's I mean to me like rebounding like that's effort. Like you gotta want. I mean like
It's
at the end of the day,
unacceptable.
when it comes to rebound, it's about want to. And like the issues with the Lakers on the glass have been documented all season long. I mean, one of the main things that grinds my gears about Rui is, like, I mean, he has the size, but he doesn't want to box out and rebound. That's the main frustration I have with him, because we get killed on the glass night after night. I mean,
He
one of
had
the
7
main.
tonight.
That's good, but I
I
still
guess he
like.
tried tonight, huh? I'm looking more at my stars tonight because I feel like 14 of 34 ain't gonna cut it. When your stars miss a combined 20 baskets, that just ain't gonna cut it, in my opinion. And
Bron was missing some bunnies at the rim too.
You know what I'm saying? Just 9 of 20 ain't gonna cut it, Bron. I mean, Bron knows that. I don't know. I'm just looking at these numbers and I'm like, where are we getting this extra production from? Who's gonna really be our third guy? If our third guy is Austin Reeves, I'm gonna need more than 14. If we look at the Clippers, which I'm gonna go to now and start talking about the Clippers. Clippers had like 3 people that scored 20 tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Kawhi came in and scored 20 in like 20 minutes. James Harden had 20. I know his numbers may have not been efficient. I think he had 20. I might be wrong on that. And then Norman Powell had 20 something. You know what I'm saying? And James Harden also had 12 assists, so he was also facilitating as well.
And Zubac had a double-double, even though he didn't.
Zubac had a mean double-double at night, like 18 and 18 or something like that, or 21 and 19. So you had 4. You had 3, 4. Excuse me, Kawhi had 19 points, not 20, but damn near 20. So you had 4 people almost score 20 points on you. You know what I'm saying? From the post to perimeter players, which means that your perimeter players didn't get it done, your big men didn't get it done, nobody got it done. And I'm just like, man, LA, like, how do you not get up for a game like this when you're in a whole new arena? You're playing against the Clippers. You want to show them like, oh, you're still the little dogs, and they come and just blast you like that. So I was disappointed.
And both of these teams are close in the standings, by the way.
Thank you. So it just
this game could be crucial.
It mattered. It mattered. That's what I'm saying. It mattered, and it just looked like everybody was on autopilot. You know what I'm saying? Like, Zubac took 16 shots this game. AD had 14. That tells you everything you need to know.
But if you watch the games, I believe it. Like I just didn't see. I mean, I just didn't see
no fight.
I didn't see this. I didn't see any assertiveness.
And Anthony Davis does that. Like I'm telling you, I paid money. I paid good hard money and to watch this man. And I'm looking at him, Randall, and there was no assertiveness. Just allowed Sabonis to just dominate him. And I just saw the same thing tonight. I'm looking. I'm just like, bro, you only let Zubac get that rebound. You just gonna let this person dominate you like this? Like, where's the even from a defensive standpoint? I mean, yeah, AD had 3 blocks, but I still feel like I'm used to seeing him alter a lot more shots, and I just didn't see that tonight. But yeah, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about this game right now. The Clippers have, and so to sum it up, I mean, the Clippers have weapons. I've been talking about the Clippers that it's hard to really see what they look like until Kawhi gets back. Well, Kawhi had like almost 20 points in 20 minutes. So the brother officially it was an efficient 9 of 13. He only missed 4 shots. So
that's typical Kawhi.
You know what I'm saying? If Kawhi Leonard is healthy, if he's healthy in the playoffs and can go a whole postseason, this Clippers team is dangerous. And I would actually go as far to say this Clippers team might be a little bit more dangerous than Paul George and Kawhi. And the reason is because you still have a scorer like James Harden who's on the level of a Paul George scoring-wise, but he's a better facilitator.
Now as you really think about it, I mean, really, the main facilitator to kind of make this thing work, that was one of the main things that the Clippers were missing from some of those teams, to your point.
They never really had they haven't had a true point guard since they left, since CP3 left, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Patrick Beverly, or they'd use Kawhi at times to start the offense, or Terrence Mann. You know what I'm saying? But not a true
Lou Will.
Lou Will, yeah, thank you, Lou Will. But not a true a guy who can play the point guard position, who can really facilitate like James Harden can. So, the Clippers in this NBA and this Western Conference, I think they can be definitely dangerous. I think they play good defense. I think they're young. I think that they have length. They have size, because when Zubac wants to assert himself, he will. I like this team. I mean, I like the Clippers. I like what they're doing. Watch out.
I want to touch on Zubats real quick because I do think all season long he's pretty much been the unsung hero of the Clippers.
He really
I think,
has.
I mean, because really he's been a consistent mainstay throughout the whole season. Weathering
Consistent
the
double
storm
double.
with Kawhi, he has been he's been rock solid throughout this whole season. So I do think Zubats really deserves to get more of his flowers. Now I don't know if Norman Powell I think he's played well to the point where I don't know if he will be an all-star, but I do think he might get
All
some
star
all-star
considerations.
consideration. Like he might get some votes by the coaches because he I think he's had a little bit of injuries this year, but I mean, even with the balance in the lineup, he still finds his way to contribute and he still gets
He's
his
been a
points. So I
consistent
mean,
20 plus point scorer this whole season.
mm-hmm,
Every week that we've talked about Norman Powell being one of the key reasons why the Clippers have been able to sustain themselves the way they have been in the absence of Kawhi. Him essentially stepping up and becoming that 20-point scorer that Kawhi usually is was a big key and big factor for that. And to me, honestly, when you have a team that plays well together without their main star and the star comes back and he's just an efficient guy you can just plug back in, that just says a lot more about the team. Also, I don't think we talk enough about how there's not a lot of drama surrounding the Clippers this year. You know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? The Clippers usually are surrounded by a lot of drama, a lot of scandal, a lot of headline. I feel like this is the first year in a long time where, Kawhi was hurt, and that was a little bit of noise because of that, but not really. That was kind of like, low key, and he was able to come back and under the radar, quite frankly. And I feel like that also has helped the Clippers as well. There's no Russ on the team. There's no, people that you can use to scapegoat or create a headline or a narrative over.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask this question to you, Ham. So if you're the Clippers, is that do you pretty much stand back and just try to just keep finding the chemistry with Kawhi, or do you try to make one move to try to just bring in another? I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it needs to be like a big move. Like I don't see them making like a move for like Jimmy Butler or anything crazy like that. But like, what move do you think could be out there? I mean, is there any person that they can get that, or do you kind of not want to mess the ship up?
It's a good
I mean,
question.
me personally, I think I would just stand pat. I think because I do think this group they may have something with this group already, so maybe.
I honestly, if there was one person that I think that the Clippers could go get, and not a big name, but a guy who I think would really solidify their squad, KCP. Go get him from
Yeah,
Orlando.
available because
He's in Orlando. I mean, he's in Orlando.
Orlando's a good team. Like they're like in the top. Orlando's like third or fourth in the East right now. Like I mean, and they just got
Make something
Banchero
happen.
back.
Huh? You can still make something happen. It's the NBA.
Yeah, but
are you talking more? Are you talking more like so from like a weaker
I'm saying,
team, like a?
I'm saying like on Orlando's side.
What about how about this? A Buddy Hield that ain't really been working out with the Warriors. Send him down to LA. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're talking about if you're talking like a team like
that's
with
probably a little bit more realistic.
Wait, what?
That's a bit more realistic.
Like a Buddy Hield?
Like yeah, I can see a scenario that could happen.
You know what I'm saying? Like a guy, who could hit shots for you, or his job is really just to hit deep shots. You know what I'm saying?
Because they have the perimeter. Because I mean, they have some guys that can defend the perimeter. But you're right. They probably just use another guy that can shoot a little bit. Just
another perimeter shooter. That's about it. I mean, they have the size, they have the length. If they just have one knockdown, like a JJ Redick, almost they just need a modern day JJ Redick. You know what I'm saying? Another guy who comes, Grayson Allen. That's another guy who comes to mind because you already know that.
The Suns aren't really looking too good.
That's what I'm saying, So Grayson Allen's another guy who comes to mind. Pat Connaughton, those type of guys. Outside of that, I wouldn't say no. I think the Clippers is pretty poised.
I think they'll probably end up staying packed, but I mean, really, it's just about But really, it's just but you just gotta see if Kawhi, as he increases his minutes, is just about whether he can sustain being on the court. That's always going to
Right.
be the $1 million question because and because really it's like because last year he pretty much made it through the season and he gets hurt in the playoffs again. So it's because even if we get through the season, it's like we still got to be in the back of our minds about Kawhi in the playoff. When it comes to playoff time, we always have to be mindful of Kawhi
Always.
learning his health. But and also, I mean, we got to give flowers to Ty Lue, man. He's done a hell of a job this year. Being able to manage this roster and be able to keep guys engaged. Given the uncertainty of the season, and I think his leadership and being able to keep the team, on the same page. I think he deserves a lot of credit, to make sure there is no drama in that locker room. I think he's probably had a lot more. I think he's probably had some stressful seasons dealing with some of these teams. So I think Ty Lue enjoys coaching this group. I'll say that.
Yeah. This is like I said, this is the group with the least distractions that he's probably coached, since he's been the head coach of the Clippers.
But anyways, we're gonna wrap up this show this week. Another good episode this week of Palm Tree Perspective. Follow me on Instagram at Rand_Hamilton, and just keep a lookout for more of my content covering high school sports out here in the San Fernando Valley at valleysportstelegram.com. Ham, do you have anything else to plug?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram at Hennessy Ham. Get at me all the time. I love talking sports, man. Tap in with me. If you guys want to hop up on the show, you guys want to come up on here, say some, talk sports with me and Randall, just, get at me. Instagram, once again, Hennessy Ham.
All right, sounds good. All right, until next time, y'all. All right, y'all have a good week. Love y'all.